It was midnight at McDonald's when the customer collapsed from a heart attack. Staff panicked, calling 911. But the quiet night shift worker Samuel calmly approached and began perfect CPR. When paramedics arrived, they were stunned. Where did this guy learn this? That's when they discovered Samuel's real identity. Welcome back to A Story Every Day. Before we dive into this incredible story, drop your city in the comments and hit subscribe if you believe everyone deserves a second chance. The McDonald's on 5th Street was like any other: fluorescent lights, the hum of fryers, and the smell of coffee that never quite left the air. At 11 p.m., the dinner rush was over, leaving only the night crew and late-night customers. Samuel Rodriguez worked the night shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. He was quiet, mid-40s, always arrived on time, never complained. His colleagues knew almost nothing about him. He spoke softly, worked efficiently, and kept to himself. Samuel's solid, the manager would say, never calls in sick, never causes drama, just does his job. But Samuel was different from the others. While they rushed through tasks, he moved with precision. While they joked around, he observed everything: customer behaviors, safety protocols, emergency exits. Like he was trained for something bigger. The other workers didn't notice these details. To them, Samuel was just another guy flipping burgers for $15 an hour. They had no idea who he really was. It was 12:47 a.m. on a Tuesday when everything changed. Robert Chen, a 58-year-old accountant, was grabbing a late-night coffee after working overtime. He'd been having chest pains all week, but ignored them. Deadlines were more important than doctor visits. He was reaching for his wallet when it happened. The crushing pain hit him like a freight train. His left arm went numb, his vision blurred. He gasped, clutched his chest, and collapsed onto the cold tile floor. "Oh my God!" screamed Jessica, the cashier. "Someone call 911!" Panic erupted. Customers backed away. The teenage crew members froze, staring at the man convulsing on the ground. That's when Samuel appeared. While others panicked, he moved with surgical calm. He knelt beside Robert, checked his pulse, tilted his head back to open the airway. "Jessica, call 911 and tell them we have a cardiac arrest," Samuel said, his voice steady as steel. "Ask for ALS unit, advanced life support. Tell them patient is mid-50s, conscious but distressed." Then he began CPR. What happened next left everyone speechless. Samuel's hands moved with textbook precision. 30 chest compressions, exactly 2 inches deep, at 100 to 120 beats per minute. 2 rescue breaths. Check pulse. Repeat. But it wasn't just the CPR. It was everything else. He positioned Robert's body at the perfect angle. He monitored breathing patterns. He checked pupil response with his phone's flashlight. He even elevated Robert's legs to improve blood flow. "How long has he been down?" he asked Jessica, still maintaining compressions. "About 2 minutes." "Good. Survivability is still high. Did you tell them his approximate age and current symptoms?" Jessica nodded, stunned. This was the same guy who usually just said, "Have a nice day," to customers. The paramedics arrived in 6 minutes. Samuel continued CPR until they took over, then stepped back calmly. "What's his status?" the lead paramedic asked. Samuel rattled off medical information like a colleague. Mid-50s male, sudden onset chest pain, lost consciousness at 12:47. "I've maintained compressions for 4 minutes, checked airway patency, pupils responsive. Pulse is thready but present." The paramedic stared at him. "Are you medical?" Samuel hesitated. "I used to be." Robert survived. The paramedics credited Samuel's immediate response for saving his life, but the incident left the McDonald's staff with questions. "Dude, where did you learn that?" asked Marcus, a teenage crew member. "First aid training," Samuel replied, but his answer felt incomplete. Manager Lisa pulled him aside the next day. "Samuel, that was incredible what you did. But those weren't basic first aid skills. You sounded like a doctor talking to those paramedics. Samuel's face tightened. I've had some medical training. What kind of training? It's complicated. Lisa studied his face. Samuel had been working there for 8 months, always reliable, always competent, but she'd never really looked at him, really seen him. Samuel, what did you do before this job? A long pause. Different kind of work. That night, Lisa couldn't stop thinking about it. She'd seen doctors work before. Her father had been a nurse. Samuel hadn't just administered first aid. He'd conducted a medical assessment with the precision of someone who'd done it thousands of times. 2 days later, Lisa was in the office when Samuel's locker accidentally swung open. A folder fell out, papers scattering across the floor. She bent to help clean up and froze. Harvard Medical School Diploma, Dr. Samuel Rodriguez, class of 2006. Board certification in emergency medicine, 2009. Hospital ID badge from Massachusetts General, Department of Emergency Medicine, and a newspaper clipping. Local ER doctor faces malpractice lawsuit. Lisa sat back, stunned. Her night shift worker was a Harvard-trained emergency room. That evening, Lisa confronted Samuel during his break. I saw your diploma. Samuel closed his eyes. I was going to tell you, eventually. Dr. Rodriguez? What are you doing here? Samuel looked at his McDonald's uniform, then back at Lisa. Same thing as everyone else. Working. But you're a doctor. Harvard Medical School. Emergency medicine. Why are you flipping burgers? Samuel was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. 3 years ago, I was head of emergency medicine at Mass General. I worked 80-hour weeks, saved lives, made good money. I had everything. He paused. Then I made one mistake. One decision, in a split second, that changed everything. It was a busy night, Samuel continued. Multiple trauma cases coming in. A car accident victim, 16-year-old girl, came in with severe internal bleeding. I had to choose between 2 surgical approaches. One was safer but slower. The other was faster but riskier. Lisa listened intently. I chose speed. The girl was dying and I thought I could save time. But complications arose during surgery. She didn't make it. Samuel's hands trembled slightly. Her family sued, said I was reckless, that I chose the risky procedure to show off. The medical board agreed. They said I violated standard protocols. What happened? Lost my license. Hospital fired me. Medical malpractice case dragged on for 2 years. Legal fees destroyed my savings. Insurance companies won't touch me now. No hospital will hire me. He gestured around the McDonald's. So, here I am, Dr. Samuel Rodriguez, Harvard Medical School, working night shifts for minimum wage. Lisa felt the weight of Samuel's story. Have you tried to get your license back? The board said I could reapply in 5 years. That's 2 more years. Even then, it's not guaranteed. But you saved that man's life. You're still a doctor. Samuel shook his head. I'm a McDonald's worker who used to be a doctor. There's a difference. No, Lisa said firmly. You're a doctor working at McDonald's. That's completely different. Over the following weeks, word spread about Samuel's background. Some customers started coming specifically to meet the doctor who works at McDonald's. Local news picked up the story, but Samuel hated the attention. He'd come to McDonald's to disappear, not to be reminded of what he'd lost. Everything changed when 8-year-old Emma Martinez choked on a chicken nugget. Her mother was screaming. Other customers called 911. But Emma was turning blue. Samuel didn't hesitate. He performed the Heimlich maneuver with textbook precision. The nugget dislodged in seconds. Emma started breathing normally. Her mother hugged Samuel, crying, "You saved my daughter." That's when Samuel realized something. He'd been so focused on what he'd lost that he'd forgotten what he still had. The ability to. Samuel enrolled in a license restoration program. He began volunteering at free clinics during his days off. He started studying for his medical board recertification, and he kept working at McDonald's. Why? Lisa asked. You could probably find something better now. Samuel smiled, the first genuine smile she'd seen from him. Because this job taught me something medical school never did. What's that? Humility. For 8 years I was Dr. Rodriguez, important, respected, untouchable. Then I became Samuel the McDonald's worker, invisible, dismissed, forgotten. Both experiences taught me things I needed to know. 6 months later, Samuel passed his medical boards. A community clinic offered him a position, but he negotiated to work part-time, keeping his McDonald's shifts 2 nights a week. "I want to remember," he told Lisa. "I want to remember that being a doctor isn't about titles or prestige. It's about helping people, whether they're having a heart attack in a hospital or choking on a nugget at McDonald's." A year later, Dr. Samuel Rodriguez reopened his practice, but with a difference. Half his time was spent at a high-end medical center. The other half was spent providing free medical care to minimum-wage workers, like his former McDonald's colleagues. He kept his McDonald's uniform hanging in his office, a reminder of the most important lesson of his career. Robert Chen, the heart attack victim, became Samuel's first official patient at the new practice. "Doctor," Robert said during his appointment, "I never got to thank you properly. You saved my life that night." Samuel smiled. "Actually, Robert, you saved mine." Samuel's story spread through medical communities nationwide. Harvard Medical School invited him to speak to incoming students about failure, resilience, and what it truly means to be a physician. His message was simple. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find out who you really are. I thought being a doctor meant wearing a white coat and working in a hospital, but I learned that being a doctor means being ready to help, whether you're in an operating room or behind a McDonald's counter. The 16-year-old girl he'd lost still haunted him, but now, instead of running from that pain, he used it to fuel his compassion for every patient he treated. Today, Dr. Samuel Rodriguez runs one of Boston's most respected community clinics. But every few months, he still picks up a shift at the McDonald's on 5th Street, not because he has to, because he wants to remember. Sometimes our greatest failures become our greatest teachers. Samuel Rodriguez lost his medical license, his career, his identity. But in that McDonald's uniform, he found something more valuable than prestige. He found his purpose. The most important skills aren't always the ones that make you money. Sometimes they're the ones that make you human. Your turn. Have you ever met someone whose current job didn't match their incredible background? Share their story in the comments. Let's honor the hidden talents among us. Thanks for watching A Story Every Day. Tomorrow, another story that proves everyone deserves a second chance. Until then, remember, the most extraordinary people often wear the most ordinary uniforms. Subscribe if you believe in second chances and hidden heroes.